Quick announcements before we get things rocking and rolling. Number one, we do have coming up on August the 4th, I believe that date's right, August 4th, yes, that's a Sunday. That day we're having our discovery class, so for those that are thinking about joining the church or wanting more information about the church, or those that are wanting to get connected and involved in a different type of work within the church, that's a great class to attend. So that'll be August 4th following the morning service. Sign-up sheet is in the back. We also have Bagel Fest this week. Now, I know some of us are like Monty Pythoning it, right? We're just, yay. But we have our diaper changing station. Easiest job in the world. You just sit at the tent and you just wave at people. I mean, it is the easiest job in the world. The tent is simply a service for the community that they can come in and change their own baby's diapers within that tent in a semi-private environment. And so it's a great, clean place for them instead of the ground, instead of walking back to their car, or instead of going into the sauna that is the buildings available there there at the park. So it is a great, great, great service. People love it, but we do need people to man it. Okay, and so we do need people to sign up there in the back for this week on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They're broken out into different hour slots. Please feel free to sign in the hours that you would like to commit to. That would be fantastic. Meanwhile, oh boy, I'm excited. I love campus ministries, whether it's His House, InterVarsity Christian Fellowship on college campuses, whatever the case is. I've always been connected to campus ministries of some sort. I had never heard of campus outreach till I moved to Central Illinois. And so I have been excited. Every time I hear Joe speak, I get more excited. And I just get so encouraged and so enriched by what is happening on the college campuses. We hear about all the protests and all the junk that's happening. I love to hear the hand of God moving. And so with that great excitement, I'd like to invite down Joe. Come and share what God's been doing through your ministry through campus outreach.
Great, thank you. Should I stand down here or should I stand up there?
Wherever you're comfortable.
I'll go right here. Is this okay with you guys? Or is this okay? Okay. Thanks for having me. I mean, I'm glad to be here and tell you guys about campus outreach. Okay. I'll wait. No, you're good. Oh, is that better? Here we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to tell you guys about campus outreach and how it's been this past year. And yeah, so thanks for having me. This is a picture of the family. I'm sure you guys are all kind of wondering. Oh, you can go back. Sorry. There it is. Okay. My wife's Zoe. My son Carson's on the right. He is 2 years old. He turns 3 in August. He's getting big. And then our daughter Eden is on the left. She just turned 1 in May. And Carson is a kid. He loves playing. This is a picture after a Friday night race. Every Friday does like this fun run for kids. And so we'll go to a track and he'll do a 400-meter race. And he loves it, and he's a ball. He just gets excited. He'll run, and they're like, Dad, field goal post right there. And then he'll run across the finish line. He'll see my mom and dad, like, Papa, Mama, like he's just living the dream. He's having a blast, and but he's a ball of energy. He's a good kid. He's learning how to share. So we're going through those kind of stages, which is difficult. And then our daughter Eden on the side. She is very sweet, and she's definitely going to be the princess of the family. So I was even talking to Zoe's parents the other day. It's like I feel like I've disciplined her way less than I've ever had to deal with disciplined Carson, just because she's a girl, and I don't want to hurt her. And so, yeah, that's my family. I'm sorry I can't be here today. I preached at a church this morning, and so I've just kind of been all over the place, and it's just been hard with kids to do that. But campus outreach, you can go to the next slide. I'm at Illinois State University, just to remind you guys. And there it is. And I'm the campus director of the team there, so I'm in charge of, this is our staff team. It's the biggest staff team in probably the region, just because Illinois State is so big. It's like 20,000 students are there. So there's a lot of people, and so I have to manage the team, and I'm really thankful to have a big team because the campus is really big. I'm really excited to lead that, but it's been growing. I've been doing it for a year now, and it's been developmental for me in a lot of ways. But just to remind you guys go to the next slide. what Campus Outreach is all about is that our mission statement is to glorify God. You can go to the next slide. There you go. To glorify God by building laborers on the college campus for the lost world. And we want to do that by glorifying God. We want to make God known by building laborers. You know, in Matthew 9, when Jesus looks at the crowds of people, he said he had compassion on them because they're harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. And then he looks to his disciples and he says, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest. And so what Campus Outreach is serving is that we want to build laborers on the college campus. Just like farmers labor and they go out and plant the corn and work the ground, and there's seasons, it's hard, intensive work, so too Campus Outreach wants to build up laborers. We view ourselves as laborers on the college campus to go reach new people with the gospel, share the gospel with them, have spiritual conversations. We're laboring out there just like a farmer would. And we want to do that on the college campus. We really do view the college campus as some of the most strategic times in people's lives. People make decisions on what they're going to do afterwards, their own religious views, what are they going to do, sometimes who they're going to marry, all these things that we just kind of think the best use of our time to reach the gospel with the college students is with college students. We think that they are going to be the most open to hearing about Christ. But no, we're not on the college campus for the college campus. We're on the college campus for the lost world. That we really view the college campus as a launching pad. That these students are going to graduate and go to different cities and states and countries. That we really think that if we can influence them now, that we're not just reaching the college campus, but we're reaching the lost world through the college campus. And that's our vision statement. That's what we hope to see. That's what everything we do is trying to aim at. And when I just got the rest of my time is just want to share a few stories about how it's been going for us at ISU, and then I'll open the floor for question and answers if people have some questions. And then that's basically all I got for tonight. You can go to the next slide. So one thing that the Campus Outreach is really big on is just evangelism. We just want to have a lot of spiritual conversations with a lot of students. And I don't know if you guys can see in this picture, but there's an arrow on top of a student, kind of in the back in the green shirt. His name is Seth Albin. And he's only been a Christian for a year now. And about a year ago, there's this guy named Keandre Schumacher. He's a student a year ago, and now he's on staff with Campus Outreach at EIU. And he shared the gospel with this guy named Seth. And Seth, it was a Bible story of Jesus and the Great Samaritan. And he realized that Jesus was the Great Samaritan who took care of me. And his life radically changed. Well, Seth is also the Illinois Wesleyan football captain, okay? And he is a senior, and everyone else in the picture besides the guy in the blue is a freshman this year at Illinois Wesleyan on the football team. And they all do Bible studies. A couple of them profess faith in Christ. And his life has radically changed. And the way he just tells the story, it's so profound. He's like, a year ago, all these freshmen, they came in for a recruiting visit at Illinois Wesleyan, and I was the party guy handing them all the beer. But now they come into college, and now I'm handing them a Bible. I'm handing them Jesus. And it's just, I think the freshmen there, they've just seen something happen to Seth. That he came into college lost, seeking everything else of this world, and that's the Seth they knew. And they came to college, and the Seth's a different person. And I think for them, they saw the power of the gospel take effect in Seth's life. So much so that they do Bible studies. A handful of them profess faith in Christ. A handful of these guys are in the Summer Mountain Project. And this is just kind of like what we are trying to do, is we're trying to have a lot of spiritual conversations with people. We're trying to share the gospel. We're trying to evangelize them. And that's just a little microcosm of what Campus Outreach is doing at Illinois Wesleyan. And part of it is I'm at Illinois State. You can go to the next slide. But the ministry is kind of growing. Illinois State and Illinois Wesleyan are like the closest college campuses in the whole nation. And we've had an influence at Wesleyan, but we haven't had the staff to have the capacity for it. So the guy who's in the blue shirt is actually a CO staff person who I led a few years ago, and we'll probably plant at Illinois Wesleyan in a year. But this picture here, I'm at Illinois State. As you guys probably know, I'm the football chaplain of the team there, so I'm always at practices, and I'm going to games. I'm giving spiritual talks to so many of them. And this is just maybe just a cool story. The guy on the left, his name is Brady. Brady had no spiritual background, no spiritual belief. He doesn't have a Christian home. He came to college searching. And he kind of came to the point where, like, man, like, I'm just lost. There's got to be more out there, and I don't know what that is. But he had a Christian roommate, and through that, we did Bible studies and just talked about purpose and meaning and finding joy in Christ. And by the time of Christmas break, he came back and was like, hey, man, I got something to tell you. I was like, yeah, what's up? Tell me. He was like, hey, man, I think I'm a Christian now. Like, I put my faith in Christ, and this is the way that I want to go. And that seems to be the trajectory of his life. It's like, this is a picture of our spring break trip. He's growing. He's reading his Bible. He's reading books. Like, he doesn't know much about the Christian life, but he's learning, and he's growing. And it's just kind of a cool story. It's like, this is probably just becoming more and more normal in the culture that we live in. Just fewer and fewer people have a spiritual background. Fewer people grew up in church. But I do think in a lot of ways they're looking for some meaning, some purpose, some significance in their life. And it's just kind of it's a cool story, at least for me as a college campus, college minister, to share the gospel with someone who has no spiritual background and to see them come to Christ and their life changed a lot. So that's Brady. The guy in the middle, his name is Zion. He came to Christ a few years ago in the ministry, and he met this guy named CJ, who's the guy on the right. And all three of these guys are on the ISU football team, and CJ transferred in from California from a small school to a Division I program. And just even a story about CJ, I could say, is the other day we had him over for dinner with a few other, maybe like 5 other freshman football players. And they asked him, CJ, like, what's it been like for you to be a part of campus outreach? And the way that CJ responded, he just say, it's life-changing. It's like, I think as I'm talking with him more and more, he's realizing, like, the CJ who came into Illinois State and the CJ he is now has radically changed. He came to ISU with his girlfriend. They were living together. There's a point where, like, they're about to break up. Before you know it, CJ's living in my basement for a matter of weeks. We come to the spring break trip, and he's like, dude, like, I can't keep living the way that I'm living. I can't keep doing these things. He's, like, kind of determined, like, okay, fine, like, Christ, whatever you want from me, like, I'll make the decision. He's coming out of the spring break trip expecting to break up with his girlfriend because he just feels like that's the right thing to do. Well, anyways, through a matter of conversations, his girlfriend gets connected to our pastor. She then becomes a Christian while he just became a Christian. She is now down in Tennessee for a 9-week summer mountain project in Tennessee with Campus Outreach. And their story is just kind of changed. It's different through the gospel. Just CJ's life's changed, her life's changed. It's just kind of crazy. Just you never know what's going to happen in 1 year. You're never really going to know what's going to happen in people's lives by just loving them, sharing God's word, getting around community. In a lot of ways, people's lives are changed. And this is just a few stories of what it's been like this past year. This all has happened in a year. And I'll probably be here in another year. And we don't know what's going to happen. And it's just always kind of crazy. You just go year in and year out, just expecting to see God work again. So that's what we do. We do a lot of evangelism. Hopefully have a lot of cool stories like this. But as people come to Christ, we really want to establish them in the faith. That's the next slide. And we do that through discipleship. And this is a picture of 22 Illinois State and EIU football players coming together. This summer, we've been doing a Tuesday night Bible study between us and them where we're just kind of establishing them in the faith. And I think this is a cool picture because the guy leading, his name is Trenton Hatfield. He's the one in the blue shirt a few slides earlier. But I had a huge impact in his life. He came on staff with Campus Outreach, and now he's making a similar impact with other people. And it's just kind of like the spiritual reproduction, I guess you could say, that people are eager to grow, people are coming together, and we're just teaching them the basics. We're trying to teach them to walk with God, read their Bibles, pray, all the things that, like, if you never met me again, you'd still be established, that you would walk with God, you'd be connected to a local church. And this is kind of what we're doing, and we're trying to do that at ISU and EIU. You can go to the next slide. This is a picture of this year's Summer Mountain Project. And what that is every summer, Campus Outreach has a 9-week program down in Tennessee where they students get jobs at Dollywood, they learn how to read their Bibles, they learn how to share their faith, and they're all living in community. They all live in the same building together, and there's about 40, 45 students in there. Well, this year, I had the privilege of leading it all. So I was the S&P director. I'm the one managing everything, taking care of all students, relationships with Dollywood, taking care of all the problems. If I have to send people home, I have to send people home. I'm really the guy in charge. And so that was a growing experience, but it's a privilege. You know, we love the Summer Mountain Project because it really is like our bread and butter. Like if we can get someone to the Summer Mountain Project, they come in as boys and girls, they leave as men and women, is how we view it, because it's like a greenhouse of growth in that. And this is a picture of this year. I was able to bring the family down. We were down there for 3 weeks, and it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So that's a huge success. So it was really, really good compared to other times. And it was fun. The kids love it. Carson's getting to the age where he's excited to go to an amusement park. He's getting to the age where he loves going to the pool, getting out. And so that was fun. Like we went 2 years ago and Carson's like 7 months and Zoe felt like she's in a prison, just not being able to leave anywhere. So it was fun. It was a lot more enjoyable this year. And so that's just been maybe a huge thing for us in a lot of different ways. So that's the Summer Mountain Project. I have one more picture for you guys. Go to the next slide. You know, when I took over Illinois State about a year ago, Illinois State was kind of going through a replant. So like Campus Outreach, it's so cyclical. You come in, grab students, you kind of help them grow, they graduate, and you have to go through the pipeline all over again. So last year we kind of started the pipeline up again. And one of the last things that's really big to us is exporting students to local church when they graduate. But I think the thing that's so cool about this picture is that a lot of these people, they're not graduating. They're coming back. And a lot of people have been connected to community, been in Bible studies, are growing, made professions of faith. And it's just kind of like exciting, at least for us, because going into the school year, it's not like we're going with zero. We're going with hopefully a handful of people who are excited to grow, excited to share the gospel with other people. And so instead of exporting people off the college campus, we're trying to get a movement off the ground at ISU and Wesleyan, and we feel hopeful that could happen, God willing. That's kind of like our plans, where we're going. I mean, I'll probably be working for Campus Outreach for at least another 4 years. I'll probably be working for a while, I'm guessing. I'm in seminary at Covenant Theological Seminary in St. Louis. I have at least 4 more years till I'm done with that. And so, yeah, I think me and Zoe are in the process of figuring out, like, what does our future hold? Like, where do we go? Do we stay with Campus Outreach for a long time or just for a little time? And those are all questions that we are kind of wrestling with. But I think deep down, we feel really called to where we're at. We feel really content. Like, God seems to be working. It's like any job. Like, the first few years, it's like you're trying to figure out what to do, and then after that, it's like, okay, you finally figure out, and I think we kind of just hit the point where it's like we finally figured it out. Like, we found our niche. We found how to do things. And so because of that, I don't want to leave anytime soon because, like, I don't want to restart anything. But here we are. And so we feel really privileged. We love Campus Outreach. I'm like one of the oldest guys in the room now. Like, it is kind of crazy. Campus Outreach is a very young ministry. It's like I'm 31, and my boss is 31. And so it's like we're the ones kind of governing Campus Outreach. And so that can lead into maybe the next slide is you could just keep praying for us in a lot of different ways. Just pray that students grow, especially on S&P, but also in Normal or in Charleston. Next week I'll go down to S&P for what's called Vision Retreat. So I'll be away from the family for about a week. But just pray that it would go well. Pray for our fall plans. You know, it's always nerve-wracking, always anxiety-ridden when new thousands of college students kind of come to the college campus, and it's your job to introduce yourself to them and see if they want to get connected to anything, play basketball or whatever. It's always, just like any job, there's seasons where it's really, really intense. The fall is really, really intense for us. And if you just pray for the fall plans, our families, our marriages, as we do, this is some of the most important season of our life, of our job, not our life. It's just a job. But then, you know, that God, it would not be in vain. God would save people. And then the last thing you could just pray for is just staff, their finances, that stay healthy, love God, love others. And so that's how it's going. Thanks for your support in so many ways, whether it's financial or prayers or whatever. We really can't do any of what we do apart from it. So thank you. That's all I have. I mean, are there questions that you guys have about my family or the job or campus outreach? Yeah, Larry. Yeah. Yeah, that is the one thing that makes campus outreach probably different from other college ministries, is that we maybe the way we think about it is people we want to ask ourselves, we don't just start a Bible study for Bible study's sake. We start with the people, like who has a need for this first. And so we'll do a weekly event, but that's not our main MO. That's not how we do things. Other ministries, they'll have a weekly church service or weekly Bible study in hopes that kind of recruit people to that. And we're fine with that, but the first thing we're going to do is we want to build relationships with non-Christians. So what we've done historically is we have this big basketball tournament. It's called Rim Rocker. And when we meet people, we say, hey, I'm a college minister, but we put on a lot of events. Like this basketball tournament's $5 a play. Winning team gets $500. And we're just trying to build relationships first on. And as we kind of build relationships, we start asking them, do you have any spiritual backgrounds? You grew up in church? What do you think about God? And then kind of hopefully get into Bible studies or recruit them to our fall retreat or whatever, just kind of turn the corner that way. So we throw the flag up saying, hey, we're Christians, but we're not, that's not our first thing to do. We want to build relationships with them first and then go from there. So, yeah, that's great. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a good question. So she technically is not, because for a long time she was doing a part-time job, and as of May, she stopped that. So she calls herself retired now, okay? And she's busy with 2 kids, and I think we go back and forth on, like, how involved she wants to be, and I would love for her to be involved as much as possible, but I think me and her, we do have a high priority on the family, too, and just, like, hey, like, I think one of my biggest fears is, like, I would make a better impact on the campus than I would my kids, and I think we just value that. So we don't know what her capacity could look like with 2 kids, 2 young kids, but I think she looks to be involved, and she definitely has a relationship with girls that she loves to meet up on a regular basis, but it's not, like, she doesn't work for campus outreach, and she's kind of free to do whatever she wants, really. So, yeah. 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 Well, Matthew seems to be doing well. He's out in California, and he is married with a kid. And so my parents just made a trip out to California not too long ago to go see her. It's expensive out there, so both of them work. Both of them are really busy. Matthew's like a worship pastor / barista, and I don't know what his wife does. I should know that, but I don't. And so yeah, I think he's doing well. I think we may see him for Thanksgiving. That's kind of like the plan, at least. And then Paul, he's making a lot of money right now. That's what he's doing. And he got his PhD in chemistry at University of Chicago. He works for Big Pharma up in Chicago. He's single, no kids. He has a lot of money. So he's kind of traveling around. He too went to California for a variety of things. And so that's kind of how he's doing. I think maybe just keep Paul in your prayers, just what his future holds. But yeah, just that's kind of how they're doing, really. Yeah, like in our ministry or at large. So campus outreach, we view ourselves so interconnected to the local church that Christ Church is the church we go to in Normal, that when we go to the college campus at ISU or Wesleyan, we really view ourselves as an extension of Christ Church to the college campus. So Some people call college ministries para-church, so it's like different than the church. We don't view ourselves that way. We kind of come under the authority of a local church, so much so that we are members of the church. We get paid by the church. We are serving the church. And so because of that, we push all of our students that we're connected to go to the same church we're at, and that's Christ Church. So I would say it's close to 90% of our students, they go to Christ Church with us on Sundays. We don't demand it, but we definitely highly emphasize it. There's a reason we're at the church we're at, and so we want to encourage people to, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what we do, and then Sunday nights we'll do prayer and worship together as a campus outreach body. So, yeah. All the above. So the thing that is interesting about ISU specifically is that the head coach is like a devout Catholic. So because of that, he has a chaplain position. It's like, I don't know how, I feel like that's rare in the country today. So like, I'm like a full-blown chaplain. I travel, I'm at practice, I'm giving a 10, 15-minute talk before every football game, pointing them back to Christ at the end of it. And so there's definitely, there's a variety of layers you can do it. On the surface level, I have great relationships with everybody. So everyone likes me, everyone respects me. Some people call me coach. Like, I'm very much part of the team. But just like anything, it's like there's people who are like, yeah, I can never really believe this God stuff. I can never really do it. And I think some of the maybe pushback to Christianity I don't see, but the students I'm connected with do. So they're always having the conversations in the locker room about this or that and how to navigate this or how to navigate that. And so I think I'm respected, loved, all that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean everyone believes. And so there's probably some people I'm really connected to, some people who are Christians, some people who are open, and then definitely some people who are like, I can never be a part of any of that. And so just like any group of people today, it's like that in the football team. And I think overall, I've been really surprised by how maybe kind the football team is. I thought going into it, like, they would be like hot stuff, and they would just not want any part of it, but they're well-mannered, put together. I can't tell if it's just because it's ISU and not like a Power 5 football school, but they're all great. So I feel really thankful for that. Yeah. Yep. So I have two friends in the NFL right now that were part of campus outreach. So Zeke and Tanner. So Zeke got drafted to the Miami Dolphins, and this past year he was on injured reserve. And just for you guys to know, injured reserve means you're making $440,000 a year. Okay, so he was injured and making $440,000. Okay, he's an outside linebacker, and he's still on the team, and I think he's giving it another run. I think he has a chance of making it, but I think it's going to be tough for him. So when you in the NFL, like right now is camp, so if you sign as like a free agent, then you aren't officially on the team until you make it after camp, okay? And then they could sign you to a practice squad, okay, which is what my other friend Tanner was. He's at the Buccaneers, and for what it's worth, a practice squad player makes like $200,000 a year, okay? And so he's practicing every day with the football team, the Buccaneers. Like if the offense is playing, he's one of the defenders. If the defense is playing, he's one of the offensive players. Like he is just a body to run over in a lot of ways, okay? But if he gets bumped up to the actual team, he goes from $200,000 to $660,000 instantly, okay? And he thinks he can make the actual team this year because this past year was good. They didn't cut him. His position group is low, so there's a chance that he could kind of slip in. Last year, I think they take 4 or 5. He was number 6. So he's kind of right on the edge of making it. Tanner, so Zeke, who's with the Dolphins, he was named the best defensive player out of the whole FCS. Okay, so there's like the FBS, which is like Power 5, like Alabama, Tennessee, Illinois, and then there's like mid-majors, okay? Out of all the mid-majors in the whole nation, this guy Zeke was the best defensive player in the whole country. So he had a great year. And so he went in with more guaranteed money, but he doesn't have as good of a shot as Tanner does this year. And that's just kind of how the cards are in the league. You just never really know what's going to happen. But the thing that is cool is they're having spiritual conversations in the league. They're having Bible studies in the league. They're connected to other Christians. They're becoming members of local churches. They spiritually are doing really well. I mean, we talk a lot. We're on the phone a lot. We're connecting. And so overall, they're doing well. I think it's game time for them. And so we'll see how they do in the next few weeks. So, yeah. Like in the league and their teams. So it's yeah, I think so. I think when you get to that point, it's just like you're kind of like the bottom guy on the totem pole. So like you could go in, maybe say they're bottom guy, so like they don't definitely have all the influence as like a top guy would, okay? But I think the thing is with the league, each team, everyone's from so many different places, from so many different backgrounds. So the thing that's nice is they come into a team and they can find another Christian or two that they can find friends with. And I think that has been a saving grace because they go to this team, or even put it like this, is like when I hear about chaplains in the NFL, that is a really tough job because you're like not just counseling them with the sport, but then now you're like counseling them with their life. It's like if I don't make the team, then my family is ruined. It's like I don't have money for this. So like the pressure is just so much in the NFL. And I think the thing about Tanner and Zeke is it's nice being the lower guy because they're like, there's no pressure on me. It's like, yeah, I have my aspirations, but like if I don't get it, then it's like, I'll take my $200,000, I'll invest it, and I'll go get a job somewhere. And so I think they have like good heads on their shoulders, and everyone's so busy. Like in the league, they're determined to make it. So like it's not like I'm sure there's parties, I'm sure there's all that stuff, but they're married. Like Zeke's married, that takes time on itself. And so I think they're just a little bit more mature to kind of handle that than 18-year-old freshman college students. So yeah, good question. Yeah. To the campus? Man, I don't even know if I would know the number for that. Let me just, maybe 5%. 5% of the campus is probably Christian. I mean, it's a rough estimate. Like if we would say 1,000 students out of 20,000 students at ISU, is that 5%? I don't know. I was a math major, but I'm not any good at math. So someone may need to help me with that. But it's very little, like especially at ISU, like you feel the left-leaning political agenda all over the place. And, but I think there's enough Christian presence in Bloomington Normal to feel it, but it's not big enough to really make an impact, I guess you could say. So, yeah, that's probably what I'd say. Yeah. I don't know the answer to that. Someone else asked me a similar question. I think maybe I'm just so busy that I'm not paying attention to it. I think it's probably what's really happening. So I don't really know. It's a good question. Cool. Well, thank you guys again. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Pastor John, for letting me come and share. And so thanks.